The Italian newspaper that chronicled Joe Biden's eyebrow-raising behavior yesterday at the G7 did not measure up with its headline, Long Pauses, Eyes Closed, Weak Voice Biden, and New Doubts About His Health at G7. Did not measure up to the two best headlines I saw about Biden's behavior at the G7. One of the headlines was Joe Motion. Can we get a Joe Motion replay on that Biden bumble, handshake of the invisible man? That was the runner-up. The best headline, of course, who has the best headlines on a day-in, day-out basis? The New York Post. The New York Post headline on Joe Biden yesterday at the G7 was Meanderer in Chief. Meanderer in Chief. Yes, that is Joe Biden, whether he's on a stage at the Naval Academy or whether he's anywhere. You know what he reminds me of? This is old, it's dated. I'll expose my age on this. The old Carol Burnett show had a character on it played by Tim Conway, where Tim Conway would like shuffle around and you couldn't understand him. He brought the character back for a recurring role on the sitcom Coach for a while. That's Biden. That is Biden. Now listen, you can say, well, you're picking on him. It's ageist. Nope, it's not. You don't get to plead the ageist card when my safety, the safety of my daughters, the safety of your family is at stake because either he's in charge and is clearly limited in his ability to understand. How with it do you think he is? 3 a.m. China begins a naval blockade on Taiwan. Mr. President, can they even get him awake? Do they have to get the paddles out to get him awake? Like, and how with it is he if he wakes up? Which, okay, don't worry, Bruce, you have other people on it. Nope, not an acceptable answer. Not an acceptable answer. In that situation, the American people deserve to know who is in charge and who is making the decisions. And if it's idiots like Antony Blinken, who put together the cabal of 51 former intelligence officers to give Joe Biden a firewall in the debate with Donald Trump after Hunter Biden's laptop came to light, not good enough. If it's Jake Sullivan, idiot Jake Sullivan, who like a week and a half before Hamas attacked Israel said, oh, you know, the Middle East has never been more secure than it is right now. If those two morons are making the call, or if Obama's making the call in his third term, that's not good enough either. So yeah, I get to bang on Joe Biden for his age because it imperils all of our safety. And you say, well, maybe it's the vice president. Sure it is. Sure it's the vice president. Yeah, they're calling her right away. Of course they are. So here's Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, talking about people who see Joe Biden, have questions about Joe Biden, people who are paying outrageously high prices and whose wages have gone down comparatively to the cumulative effect of 20% price increases across the board since Joe Biden became president. But Josh Shapiro, who is chauffeured everywhere he goes and doesn't have to live like a real American in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro wants you to know that you are pathetically weak if you support Donald Trump.
I had to laugh today when some of those senators were like standing up there applauding him, the same people that were saying after January 6th that he didn't have a place there, that he had stoked violence against them. Now they're all lining up and they're just showing themselves to be profoundly and pathetically weak people who don't swear allegiance to a flag, but rather just to Donald Trump, who are people who have lost really just the sort of core vision of, you know, Ronald Reagan's Republican Party.
I don't disagree with the fact that we are not the same Republican Party that we were under Ronald Reagan. But what you don't realize, Josh Shapiro, is that one of these two men is going to be president. Donald Trump or Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is not a better choice by any metric. He's just not. And so you can say we're pathetically weak people. If you're talking to me, you're talking to somebody who has come to the realization that I don't get to pick perfect for the next president. I don't get to go outside the lines and select the candidate that I would prefer. Would I prefer Ron DeSantis? Yes. Would I prefer Glenn Youngkin? Yes. Would I prefer Tom Cotton? Yes. I could probably come up with a couple of other names that I would prefer. But I don't get to make that choice because we are a constitutional republic where we vote in primaries, in elections, and the will of the people is enacted. And the will of the people in the Republican Party is that Donald Trump is their nominee. And so I get to pick between Donald Trump and I get to pick between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And in that choice, it takes me less than a tenth of a hot second to know that I'm going to pick Donald Trump. So don't lecture me about, oh, how can you back this guy? Because of the alternative. That's how I can back this guy. And the other part of it is, you guys want to bang on Trump and tell me he's a fascist and tell me that he's an insurrectionist and parse every single word he says and lie about things he says that he absolutely did not say, like he's going to turn the United States into a bloodbath if he doesn't win. You know that's about the auto industry, where Joe Biden rarely goes out to answer questions. And when he does go out to answer a question, it has to be only the people that have been pre-approved to ask the question. And if they don't ask the question as he is expecting it, then he lashes out at them. This happened yesterday at the G7.
But what more, if anything, the U.S. can do to drive towards a peace agreement? Thank you.
I wish you guys would a little play by the rules a little bit. I'm here to talk about a critical situation in Ukraine. Ask me another subject. I'll be happy to answer it in detail later.
I'm expecting Ukraine questions only, please. This reminds me of when I covered Ohio State football, and they'd have a kid arrested for something, and they'd have a press conference, and they say, "Oh, football questions only, please." Sorry, you got a kid arrested. We're going to ask about the kid who got arrested because you don't make the rules. The White House Correspondents Association, which is clearly frustrated that Biden never comes out and answers questions from them unless there's a helicopter whirring while he bumbles his way off to Delaware for another weekend in the sun at one of his many multi-million-dollar beach houses that he somehow affords without collecting bags of cash from oligarchs around the world. The White House Correspondents Association says, it is in the public interest to make clear that at a presidential press conference at home or abroad, there are no preconditions regarding question topics. Well, nice to know you finally got a conscience about journalism. While the White House does determine the number of reporters the president will recognize, it is up to the professional journalist to decide what to ask. Yeah, it is.